From bizarre red carpet meltdowns to racial controversies that shook her fanbase, Blake's unhinged moments have left even her most loyal supporters questioning her actions. Blake Lively, Hollywood's golden girl, queen of effortless elegance and adored by millions. But beneath that polished image lies a collection of moments that are anything but perfect. Let's break down the times when Blake Lively truly came unhinged. This is Blake like you've never seen her before. Number 1. The plantation wedding controversy. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are one of Hollywood's most beloved power couples. But their 2012 wedding has left an indelible stain on their reputation. The glamorous ceremony took place at Boone Hall Plantation in South Carolina, a site with a dark history steeped in slavery. The decision to hold such a joyous and intimate event on land where enslaved people suffered unimaginable cruelty sparked immediate outrage. But what made matters worse was the couple's delayed response to the backlash. They stayed silent for years. When the controversy finally resurfaced in 2020, amidst a broader reckoning with racial injustice, Blake and Ryan issued an apology. They called their decision a mistake they will always be deeply sorry for. But critics argued it wasn't enough. Their wedding photos were scrubbed from public view. And while the couple donated $2 million to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, many questioned whether it was sincere or just damage control. Number 2, the Gossip Girl feud. Blake versus Leighton Meester. Blake Lively might have been the queen bee of Gossip Girl, but behind the scenes, it wasn't all glitter and gold. Her rumored feud with co-star Leighton Meester is the stuff of Hollywood legend, and not for good reason. While Leighton portrayed Blair Waldorf, the scheming, sharp-tongued Upper East Sider, Blake's Serena van der Woodsen was the golden girl with a darker edge. But according to insiders, the drama wasn't just on screen. It spilled into real life, and Blake's behavior during the show's press tour made headlines for all the wrong reasons. During a press interview for the show, Blake allegedly made a derogatory joke about Leighton being born in prison. For context, Leighton has been open about her unusual upbringing, sharing that she was born while her mother was serving time. While many saw Leighton's story as inspiring, Blake's offhanded comment came across as cruel and unnecessary, but it didn't stop there. Blake also referred to her Gossip Girl co-stars as monkeys in another interview, an attempt at humor that fell flat and sparked backlash. Her remarks were widely criticized as tone-deaf and mean-spirited, especially considering the racially charged implications of such language. Number 3, the Game of Thrones text and her dragons. Blake Lively has always been known for her quick wit and charming personality, but one particular text message took things to a whole new level of unhinged. During her legal battle with Justin Baldoni, Blake sent a bizarre text comparing herself to Daenerys Targaryen from Game of Thrones. For those unfamiliar, Daenerys is a fierce yet tragic character who commands dragons, but her reign ends disastrously. In the text, Blake wrote, "If you ever get around to watching Game of Thrones, you'll appreciate that I'm like Khaleesi. And like her, I happen to have a few dragons. For better or worse, but usually for better, because my dragons also protect those I fight for. You will too, I can promise you." The dragons Blake was referring to? Allegedly, her husband Ryan Reynolds and her best friend Taylor Swift. Blake painted a picture of her powerful allies ready to spit fire at her command. While this could be interpreted as playful banter, fans and critics alike were baffled by the tone of the message. It sounded less like a joke and more like a veiled warning to anyone who dared to cross her. Number 4, the red carpet meltdown. Blake Lively is no stranger to the spotlight, but not all of her red carpet appearances have been as glamorous as they seem. At a high-profile premiere event, Blake reportedly had a full-blown meltdown that shocked both fans and her team. According to onlookers, the incident began when Blake's dress, designed by a major luxury fashion house, had a small malfunction just minutes before she was set to hit the carpet. Rather than calmly working with her stylist, Blake allegedly lost her cool, yelling at her team in full view of the press and event staff. Witnesses reported hearing phrases like, "How could you let this happen?" and "Do you know how this makes me look?" Some described the scene as uncomfortable, while others called it downright humiliating for those on the receiving end of her frustration. Number 5, the cosplay controversy. Blake Lively's bubbly personality has often charmed audiences, but one high school story she shared publicly left fans cringing and critics furious. During an interview, Blake casually revealed a teenage memory of using bronzer and a scary spice fro to disguise herself as a black girl. Her reasoning? To stalk boys she and her friend had crushes on at an arcade. Blake admitted, "My best friend and I, when we were in 10th grade, we had crazy crushes on these guys. We decided one night to go to the arcade where they were, and I put bronzer all over myself in a scary spice fro so they'd think I was a black girl and wouldn't recognize me. While Blake likely intended the story to come across as quirky and harmless, it did anything but. Fans were shocked that she thought this was something worth sharing, let alone doing in the first place. The admission was immediately criticized as culturally insensitive, with many pointing out that it trivialized and mocked Black identity. Number 6. The wildfire evacuation lawsuit service. One of the most controversial moments in Blake Lively's career didn't involve a red carpet or a movie set, but rather a legal battle that took an unthinkable turn. In the midst of wildfires ravaging Los Angeles, actor and producer Justin Baldoni was forced to evacuate his home with his family. While scrambling to protect his loved ones and their belongings, Baldoni found himself facing an unexpected visitor, a process server delivering Blake's lawsuit papers. The details. Baldoni was reportedly organizing his family's evacuation when he was tracked down by Blake's legal team to be served. The timing could not have been worse. His family was in a state of fear and chaos, preparing to flee as wildfires burned dangerously close to their home. According to sources, Blake's team showed no concern for the severity of the situation, leaving Baldoni and his supporters stunned by the callousness of the act. Number 7. The rhinoplasty comment on set. Blake Lively has always been celebrated for her beauty, but a comment she allegedly made on set to Justin Baldoni raised eyebrows, and not in a good way. While working on a film together, Justin, who was dealing with a back injury, asked Blake for her weight to ensure he could safely lift her during a scene. What followed was a moment that left fans questioning her professionalism. Instead of simply providing her weight or acknowledging the safety concerns, Blake reportedly turned the conversation into an unprompted critique of Justin's appearance. According to Baldoni, Blake suggested he get a rhinoplasty to fix his nose. The comment, which came out of nowhere, left him stunned. What made the situation even worse? Blake allegedly excluded the incident from her legal filings, but Justin's microphone was still on during the exchange, providing documented proof of the interaction. Number 8. The crown straightener obsession. Blake Lively is no stranger to receiving compliments, but one in particular sparked an over-the-top reaction that left fans and critics scratching their heads. During an interview, Blake shared how someone referred to her as a crown straightener, a term meant to describe a woman who uplifts and supports other women. While the compliment itself was harmless, Blake's reaction turned it into something entirely different. Blake gushed endlessly about the compliment, calling it the best thing she had ever been told. But what began as a positive moment quickly took a turn when fans started to notice a pattern in Blake's public interactions. Rather than simply accepting the compliment, Blake used it as an opportunity to position herself as someone who fixes others, often coming across as controlling and overly involved in the lives of those around her. Number 9. The Barbie and Oppenheimer effect. Blake's PR push. Blake Lively has always been a master of PR, but her attempt to create a Barbie and Oppenheimer effect with her projects raised more than a few eyebrows. Around the time she was working on It Ends With Us, a film adaptation of the best-selling novel, Blake reportedly pushed hard to align the film's release buzz with that of Ryan Reynolds' upcoming Deadpool sequel. The goal? To position the two films as a cultural phenomenon, similar to the contrasting double-feature mania of Barbie and Oppenheimer. Blake was said to have done everything possible to drum up comparisons, even making lighthearted but bizarre comments during press tours about how It Ends With Us could balance Deadpool's chaos with its romantic flair. However, what started as a promotional push quickly turned into an awkward narrative that failed to gain traction. Fans and critics alike pointed out that the comparison was forced, with some accusing Blake of using the hype from Ryan's franchise to boost her own project. What made it worse was her casual dismissal of the film's sensitive subject matter. Instead of focusing on the themes of domestic violence and resilience, key aspects of the original novel, Blake treated the project as if it were a lighthearted rom-com, even promoting her alcoholic beverage line with themed drinks inspired by the movie. Number 10. The makeup artist allegations. Blake Lively's on-set experiences haven't always been smooth, but one incident involving a makeup artist raised serious questions about her ability to handle conflict. During an interview in 2017, as allegations of misconduct in Hollywood were making headlines, Blake shared her own troubling experience with a makeup artist who allegedly crossed boundaries on set. According to Blake, the artist would insist on applying her lipstick with his finger and even filmed her while she was sleeping on location. While this was undeniably a horrifying violation, the way Blake handled the situation left some people uneasy. Rather than addressing it in real time or escalating it through appropriate channels, Blake claimed she didn't report the behavior until weeks later. By then, it was too late for any immediate action to be taken, and the makeup artist was simply removed from future projects. Which moment do you think was Blake's craziest? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more.